The world of hip-hop has always been full of bold personalities, sharp words, and unshakable pride. But when two of the biggest female rappers of this generation, Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, suddenly found themselves in the middle of a heated online clash, the internet went into chaos. For years, fans have debated who the true queen of rap is, and whispers of rivalry never seemed too far away. Yet no one was prepared for how ugly and public things would get. Within minutes, social media platforms turned into a battleground, hashtags started trending worldwide, and millions of eyes were glued to every post, every like, and every word coming from both sides. The world was asking only one thing: how did it all start, and who was really at fault? Before the clash ever became public, there was already an invisible line drawn between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Both women had climbed to the top of the rap world, but they had taken very different paths. Nicki Minaj, known for her fierce lyrics and colorful style, had dominated the industry for more than a decade, building an empire of loyal fans who proudly called themselves the Barbs. On the other hand, Cardi B rose to fame much later, breaking records with her first hits, loved by millions for her raw honesty and unfiltered personality. For years, the media and fans created comparisons between the two, often fueling speculation that there was tension. Headlines suggested that Nicki saw Cardi as a newcomer trying to take her crown, while Cardi's supporters believed she was the fresh energy hip-hop desperately needed. In interviews, both artists tried to stay polite, never admitting any direct rivalry, but the undertone was always there. People whispered about small moments at award shows, subtle gestures on stage, and even interviews where words seemed sharper than they needed to be. The foundation for a feud was quietly building, and all it needed was one spark to set everything on fire. The turning point came in the most unexpected way. It wasn't a big interview, nor a dramatic live event. It was something as simple as a cryptic social media post. One evening, Nicki Minaj shared a picture on her Instagram with a caption that many believed was just harmless. But fans, who were already trained to look for hidden meanings, read it differently. The caption spoke about queens who copy styles but can never wear the crown. And within minutes, people began to connect the dots, claiming that it was a direct shot at Cardi B. Cardi, known for never holding back, didn't ignore the chatter. Instead of mentioning names, she tweeted something vague but sharp. Funny how people act like they invented something when they only borrowed it from the culture. That single line exploded across Twitter, with thousands of replies and retweets. Fans immediately started debating, is she talking about Nicki? Some argued it was just coincidence, but others insisted it was too perfectly timed to be accidental. From that moment, the internet was on fire. Blogs began posting side-by-side screenshots, gossip pages ran headlines about a brewing storm, and YouTubers rushed to make videos analyzing every word. Even though neither Cardi nor Nicki said each other's name, the public was convinced. The silent rivalry had just turned into an open battle. What made it worse was how their fans jumped in. The Barbs started calling Cardi disrespectful, while Cardi's supporters clapped back, accusing Nicki of being jealous. Memes, hashtags, and endless threads began flooding timelines. What was once a vague post and a single tweet had quickly grown into the hottest topic in the music industry. It was no longer just about music. It was personal, and everyone was watching. Once the first shots were fired, silence was no longer an option. What began as indirect posts soon turned into a wave of subtle attacks from both sides. Cardi B started posting short videos on her Instagram stories, laughing at fake queens who tried too hard to prove themselves. She never mentioned a name, but her tone made it clear to everyone who she was talking about. Nicki Minaj, on the other hand, used Twitter as her battleground. Known for her sharp words, she posted a string of tweets about new artists with no respect for those who came before them. The fans were now fully involved, treating the situation like a war zone. Every like, every emoji, and every repost from Cardi or Nicki was treated like breaking news. If Nicki liked a comment that shaded Cardi, it would instantly trend. If Cardi followed someone who had issues with Nicki, blogs made entire articles about it. Suddenly, every small action became evidence of a deeper feud. Things escalated when both rappers began engaging with fan pages. Cardi replied to a supporter who said Nicki was outdated, writing only 3 words, "Say it louder." Minutes later, Nicki clapped back by retweeting a fan who claimed Cardi never wrote her own lyrics. Small and Private was now magnified into a global spectacle, with millions of fans taking sides like it was a championship match. Celebrities and other rappers also started to get dragged into the drama. Some chose to defend Cardi, saying she was bringing fresh energy to the game, while others stood behind Nicki, calling her the true pioneer. This outside involvement only made the tension worse. Instead of calming down, both women seemed even more determined to prove their point publicly. By this stage, the so-called social media war had become bigger than music. It wasn't just about who had the better bars or the biggest hits. It was about pride, dominance, and respect. Fans weren't just watching anymore. They were fueling the fire, and every comment, every reaction made the flames grow higher. The whispers, the hints, and the indirect comments had gone on for weeks. But there always comes a point where silence breaks, and that moment arrived in the most dramatic way possible. Late one night, Nicki Minaj went live on Instagram. Thousands of fans tuned in within seconds, waiting to hear what she had to say. With a sharp tone and unshakable confidence, Nicki finally addressed the rumors head-on. She didn't hold back. Without mentioning Cardi's name directly at first, she spoke about artists who come in, get a hit or two, and suddenly think they've rewritten the history of rap. She called them disrespectful to the women who paved the way, and warned that no one could ever erase her legacy. The internet erupted. Fans immediately clipped parts of the live, sharing them across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Within minutes, hashtags like #NickiGoesOff and #QueenOfRap were trending worldwide. But the real storm was yet to come. Not one to stay silent, Cardi B took to her Twitter account just hours later. This time, there was no guessing, no vagueness, no subtlety. She typed out a fiery thread, directly tagging Nicki Minaj. Cardi accused her of being insecure, of trying to block younger artists from rising, and of using her fans to bully anyone who stood in her way. Her words were sharp, emotional, and filled with raw energy that her supporters loved her for. "I never begged for a crown," she wrote. "I earned my spot with hard work and talent. If that threatens you, that's your problem, not mine." The tweet spread like wildfire. Screenshots, memes, and reaction videos flooded the internet. For the first time, the so-called silent rivalry was no longer silent. The two queens of rap were publicly clashing, and the whole world was watching every second of it. Things escalated even further when both stars began directly replying to each other. Nicki fired back, calling Cardi ungrateful and saying she had been offered nothing but support in the beginning. Cardi responded almost instantly, claiming Nicki had been spreading lies behind the scenes, trying to sabotage her career. These back-and-forth exchanges were brutal, raw, and very personal. It wasn't just about music anymore. It was about betrayal, ego, and reputation. The clash reached a fever pitch when Cardi, clearly frustrated, posted a short but explosive video. Sitting in her car, she looked directly into the camera and said, "Enough with the fake smiles and fake support. I see the games you play, and I'm not scared to call you out." That video alone racked up millions of views within hours, with fans dissecting every word and every expression. What made the public clash so shocking was not just the words, but the fact that it felt real, raw, and unfiltered. For once, the polished image of celebrity life was torn apart. and fans were witnessing two powerful women letting their guard down in front of the entire world. The music industry had seen rivalries before, but nothing this loud, nothing this global, and nothing this immediate. By now, there was no going back. Both Cardi B and Nicki Minaj had crossed the line from subliminals to direct confrontation, and the internet was eating it up. Every media outlet ran headlines about their feud. Talk shows debated who was right and who was wrong. Fans fought endlessly in the comments section, creating a digital battlefield that seemed impossible to calm down. For the first time in years, the world wasn't just talking about their music. It was talking about them, about their pride, their anger, and their very identities as artists. And as the smoke rose from this social media war, everyone had the same question: who would come out on top? The clash between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj didn't just stay on their timelines. It spread like wildfire into every corner of the entertainment world. The morning after their public fight, nearly every major media outlet had their names in the headlines. From music blogs to mainstream news channels, everyone was replaying the drama, analyzing every word, every tweet, and every clip from their videos. The feud had gone from a few cryptic posts to a cultural moment, but the real impact was felt among their fans. The internet turned into a battlefield. The Barbs and the Barty gang were now at war, dragging each other in comments, posting memes, and flooding social media with hashtags supporting their favorite star. On TikTok, fans began making compilation videos of Cardi's best clapbacks against Nicki, while others edited Nicki's most iconic moments as proof of her unmatched dominance. Twitter threads stretched into thousands of comments, with people defending their queen as if their own reputation depended on it. The music industry wasn't safe from the storm either. Other rappers and singers were forced to pick sides, whether they wanted to or not. If an artist collaborated with Cardi, people accused them of betraying Nicki. If someone congratulated Nicki on her new release, they were instantly labeled as anti-Cardi. Even award shows felt the tension, with organizers worried about seeding charts, knowing the two stars couldn't be placed near each other without risking another public explosion. For Cardi, the aftermath was both empowering and exhausting. On one hand, she gained even more attention, with her fiery responses reminding fans why they loved her raw and unfiltered personality. But on the other hand, the constant negativity and online attacks weighed heavily on her. She admitted in one interview that she had never expected things to spiral this far, but she wasn't going to back down either. Nicki, meanwhile, doubled down on her stance. In her next live session, she insisted that she had only spoken the truth and that she would never allow anyone to rewrite history. Her fans praised her confidence, saying she had every right to defend her crown. But critics argued that Nicki's approach had only poured more fuel on the fire, dragging a private rivalry into the public eye. The clash left the world divided. For weeks, it dominated the conversation online, overshadowing new music releases, concerts, and even unrelated celebrity news. Every new move from either star was scrutinized under the lens of their feud. If Cardi dropped a new single, people wondered if the lyrics contained hidden jabs at Nicki. If Nicki collaborated with another rapper, fans claimed it was to prove a point. The drama had become bigger than their music, bigger than their careers. It had become a defining moment in pop culture. In the end, there was no clear winner. Both women walked away with their pride intact, but also with scars from a battle that the whole world had witnessed. Their feud had shown just how quickly social media could turn disagreements into global wars, and how fame, power, and ego could collide in the most public way possible. The aftermath wasn't about who was right or wrong. It was about how the world of hip-hop and the fans within it would never see Cardi B and Nicki Minaj the same way again. In the end, what happened between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj was more than just a clash between two artists. It became a mirror reflecting the power and the danger of social media in today's world. What could have remained a private misunderstanding or a backstage conversation instead unfolded in front of millions, with every fan, every blogger, and every critic playing a role in keeping the fire alive. This so-called war wasn't just about music or fame. It was about pride, ego, and the human need to be respected. It showed us that even the biggest stars, no matter how successful or iconic, can feel the pressure of competition and the sting of being misunderstood. It reminded the world that behind the glamour, Cardi and Nicki are still human, vulnerable to emotions, mistakes, and the constant judgment of the public eye. But perhaps the most important lesson was for the fans and the industry itself. The endless debates, the trending hashtags, and the online battles only made things worse, turning two women's disagreement into a global spectacle. In many ways, the audience wasn't just watching the feud, they were fueling it. And it raised a question that still lingers. Do we, as fans, enjoy the music more, or the drama surrounding the artists? Whether you supported Cardi or stood with Nicki, one truth became clear: social media has the power to shape stories, magnify conflicts, and even rewrite reputations. The feud may fade with time, but the memory of this clash will remain as a reminder of how quickly the digital world can turn friends into rivals and rivals into legends.